Okay, doing a quick sound test. No, not so bad. Alright, welcome to the stream. I am diving, like apparently many people, into the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Or more specifically, the first game of the duo, which is dubbed Adventures. I'm a pretty big fan of the original trilogy, of the Ace Attorney trilogy. I've also played Apollo, Justice, and some of Miles Edgeworth as well. But I think I really just enjoy the first trilogy the most. And this looks like, I don't know, I think it might be going back to the roots.
文明開化の大号令のもと、極東の島国にまさに今西洋文化の大波が押し寄せていた。活気に満ち溢れる帝都の民は変化、革新の熱気にむせ返り、その変化に戸惑う者も飲み込んで、時代は大きなうねりの中にあった。そして今、そんな時代を舞台に一つの物語が幕を開く。
Okay. So as often in Ace Attorney cases, we start with an almost obvious, case closed kind of murder. Of course, the thing is, I mean, this is going to be the protagonist that we saw supposedly shooting the guy, so something's obviously off. But we're going to find out what actually happened throughout the adventure. Also, a little note on sound. The game is, I would say, pretty loud, and then apparently there's no way to change the volume. So I just did a quick sound test on the stream. It seems my voice is loud enough that it will be over the music and the sounds. I hope so, at least, because I have no other way to adjust things. I'm streaming from PS4, so I don't really have any further control on this, sadly. So hopefully it's good enough. Okay, I'm also going to read aloud the text for people who might want audio only, and just for the fun of it. I'm gonna have to guess most of the voices because I don't know how the characters sound. Okay, let's go. 22nd of November, 8:43 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendant's Antechamber 5. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glass, murderer! Sorry. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough! He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until a judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you, you haven't even graduated yet. And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course, sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Ah. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers this past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not! You have to believe me. I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up, hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asogi, my best friend. Also in his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old. Here in Japan, anyway. My qualifications don't mean much yet. You said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know, I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better get going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Asogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asogi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? Who is this man? I'm sorry. Reference that probably no one's gonna get. I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Hello, Sasa. Yes, finally we get to this game. It's finally been released. Yay! I mean, I think... Yeah, I mean, it was available yesterday already, but yeah. Anyway, alright then, Ryunosuke... Wow, that's name. Why is it so hard to pronounce? Ryunosuke. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. This is awkward. Hello, Shy Tiefling. Welcome to the stream. If I may? Yes, sorry? You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Professor Mikotoba, I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you into this trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked, and never granted again. What? As I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it, I swear it. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand, once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so... As soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not... Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. At first I thought the game was voiced. Wow. Thank you very much. That's a pretty big compliment, I think. Also, what's that word? Surreptitious? That's a good question. I'm probably going to be not quite on the money on this, but I want to say something like maybe discreet. Let me make a quick check, because understanding words is important. There's a lot of words like that where I couldn't actually tell you the definition for sure, but I tend to just kind of intuitively guess what it means, but sometimes I totally get it wrong, so... Yeah, done secretly without anyone seeing or knowing, so discreet, that's actually more than discreet, it's actually secretly. Wow, so yeah, like our little secret conversation, basically. Alright, we're going to be learning things as well this stream.
Lie?
Uh,
Really?
I don't know. That seems like a strong word. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. We can keep discussing the definition on the side. Okay. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. Brain go brrrr. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving! There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. Is the sound okay, by the way? Like the balance between my voice and the rest of the game? Again, I can't do anything about it if it's not, but I'd like to know if I need to maybe push my voice a little more than usual. Also take a drink if you have a drink available. Available. Ah. Okay, voice is good. All right. My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. (22nd of November, 9 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. So this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more... Wait, is that actually the other guy? It's probably the other guy. I need to learn the names. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A surreptitious trial, one could say. A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do... I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Well, let's answer I do. Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will... What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be... what? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, it's not that really. It's just that... Well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel. Which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel? Really? Objection! Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent, he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is a Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task that you have undertaken. Wow. What was with that expression? That's kind of a classic for Ace Attorney games. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of very cartoonish stuff happening. That's kind of the charm of the game, as far as I'm concerned. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Oh, yes? Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But... wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke? Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank? You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of R1. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press R1 for the court record? Alright, there's no time to lose. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with R1. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press circle to go back. Okay, so we get to see the characters involved in the current trial. And the one that's of interest to us is the last one. John H. Wilson, 47 years old. The victim of this case, he was a visiting professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now, you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, then press triangle to present. Try it now. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think... Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death? Well, obviously that was... Ryunosuke, remember that in court every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Okay, so what do we have? University collar pin. Proof that I'm a student at the Imperial Yume University. I always wear it on the collar of my uniform jacket. So that's not gonna help. Post-mortem report. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Alright, so let's present. Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile! That's the post-mortem report, I take it? Sorry, yes, that's right, the post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, Counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered in the court record. So the description is a photographic print that shows the victim. He was shot from the front, in the chest, and subsequently died. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well. I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me. But that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Okay, I'm actually gonna take a little drink here. Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of talking. All right. Meow. just taking a small pause. That's. I mean, it takes quite a lot of energy to go through all that dialogue. Ha. Okay, so that's as far as I went during my playtest yesterday. So from that point on, I don't know what's going to be said. I don't know which characters are going to appear. So I'm probably gonna let the dialogues go a little while before I actually try to read them. So there's going to be a slight delay, I think. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hosonaga. I am the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called La Carnival. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery, 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir.
And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please.
Oh, perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen, putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Hold on, let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him. I believe I ask you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur.
But... The next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness.
If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today?
Yes, without question.
I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim?
There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table? What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do?
Well, we've been warned, and again, we're gonna have time to do... I mean, I assume the structure is we're gonna have a counter something, I don't remember the name.
I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have got into Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know? If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Alright, you scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it. Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all?
But I'm sure of what I saw.
Honosaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy?
No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume? That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, I don't know if we can see that, but okay. If you say so. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. So, the court has now heard a précis of the case. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial. The prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You've said it. Professor Mikotoba said it. And so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Indeed. Prosecutor Aochi, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well, officer. Bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir.
The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Iesan Nosa, reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District. Curio Correcuta at your service. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at La Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be the seller rather than the buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative! The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by ready to report, sir. And savory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Did his body shrink but his ears stayed the same? What? What are you talking about? I did not realize anything like that. Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. These are all Moni voices. Wait, what? Tiff? Are you trying to befuddle Tsuki? There is no money, there is only spoon. Wait, no, wait, what? No. Wow, I'm mixing all my references there. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. What times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke?
Yes, all I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Also hello Tsuki, by the way. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant. When I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. Oh. Ace Attorney music style. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict... I like how he raises his hand. What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means with what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it. And the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Well, that was a weak slam. Alright then, it's all or nothing. He still has to learn how to do the proper desk slam. Alright, cross-examination. That's when things get interactive, for real. Ah, man. Okay, gonna take a drink. Desk HP minus 0, exactly. It's like totally immune. Too much. What's the name of it? I don't remember now. Too much resistance to physical attacks. I find it more weird the old guy calmly played with a dagger while talking. Wow. I mean, maybe I'm focusing on the text too much, but I think I totally missed that somehow. Was he playing with a dagger? I thought he was holding some sort of vase almost at some point. But again, I've been looking mostly at the text box, so I may be missing some stuff. I'll have to be more perceptive here. So, what the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Oh, that is a vase. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Listen, Ryunosuke. We know there are lies lurking in these statements. It's time to expose them. I understand that. The question is, how? Like I said before, the key to this is using evidence that you've collected. You can examine and present evidence while a witness is giving testimony by pressing R1. Go through each witness statement and the details about each piece of evidence and compare all the facts. Somewhere in there, you'll find something that doesn't add up. In other words, an inconsistency. An inconsistency? When you find a statement and a piece of evidence that seem to contradict each other, present your evidence with triangle and rip the witness apart. Yes, J. Jonah Jameson. Very much. I could use his voice if I can actually summon that up. Just be careful, because if you assert a contradiction that has no basis, you'll be given a penalty. If you're dealt too many penalties, the defense's case will fall apart, and you'll receive a guilty verdict. So that's it. Peruse the evidence in the court record, and find an inconsistency with a witness's statement. Alright, I'll give it a try. You can hear the witness's statements over and over again as many times as you like. So keep your head and be measured in your attack. Good luck, partner. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. No, I don't know. I can't do JJ. JJ is such a specific voice. Anyway. Plus that's gonna hurt my throat even more if I do that one, I think. So I'm gonna keep that for someone else. Let's see, can I save? Yes. I usually like to save before... I mean when I start those phases, because that's when you can lose life points, so to speak, or rather credibility points, which are in the top right. Quite a breeze in the courtroom. That's justice, you see? It's the winds of justice. Seigi no kaze da. Okay, so let's see. Alright, we can also press, though they didn't actually tell us how to do that, which is kind of odd. Okay, as for presenting... Okay, that's what... Okay, so what do we have? Well, that's just the pin thing. That's probably not going to help us. The post-mortem report, if we look at the details, so John H. Wilson, male, British, time of death 19th November, shortly after 2 p.m. Cause of death, single bullet fired at close range. Close range is probably going to be important. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. That's probably going to be important too. Bullet did not pass through the body. Alright. Yes, L1 for pressing. That seemed to be what I saw at the bottom. Oh, that's new. Oh, that's new. Interesting. Wait, no? Okay, you can't... Apparently you don't click on anything, but you can use this to look closer. I wonder if that's going to be useful in this specific situation. That would be kind of interesting. I mean, I know in past games you could turn around objects, zoom in, zoom out, and point out specific things or interact with them. Well, I don't see anything specific on this one. The waiter's business card. So, kitchen, entrance. I still don't know how we're supposed to know how many people there are from that card, but okay, so that should be the victim's location. But we don't know where anyone else was, so that's gonna be somewhat unhelpful. Yeah, from just that and the statements so far, not sure I know what to do with this. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to press at some point. From the back. Oh, from the back. That's interesting. Okay. Can we? No, that's not the right button for that. No. Okay, there we go. That's the button to skip through. Good, good, good. Because I was getting scared that we wouldn't be able to skip. Really surprised that the game doesn't talk to you about pressing, because it seems like it would be necessary here somehow. Unless really all you need is to point out the shooting from the back thing. We'll see. Anyway, let's try to press on that one actually. Just to see. Press! Hi! So, you're saying that you actually saw me at that time? Affirmative! I saw you! Laughing, cackling like a madman as you trained the barrel of your gun on the English civilian. But that's impossible. I only... Allow me to confirm just one point, please. Rabbit? Thinking carefully about the statement you just made, it seems to me that it must have been just after you heard the gunshot that you looked over to the victim's table. And so what if it was? Well, if that really is the case, it would mean that you didn't in fact see the precise moment when the killer actually fired the gun. Har! And double har! You froze again? Were you already frozen today, Tiefling? Do you mean the stream is frozen, or what's going on? My sixth sense. Sorry? My sixth sense of danger. I picked up the waves of murderous energy radiating from your foul mind. Which means a split second before you pulled the trigger, I was looking right at you, cadet. Tiff is having trouble with Twitch. Aw. Is it like just... Because, I mean, well, I've had some issues, but usually more like when... Anyway, that's not that important. I just hope it gets resolved somehow soon. Huh. Surely that's not really possible, is it? Hey, Tsukigalt! I wonder if you were going to pick up on it. Do you think I'd have got where I am today in the army if I couldn't sense danger in the air, son? Well... It would seem this soldier is absolutely convinced that he saw you do the deed. This is not good. Prime Presser. Huh. Okay, so let's see. From the back. Yeah, maybe that's simply... I mean, okay, that's where the game is gonna be what it is, so... I might be wrong on this. Sometimes you just think you found the thing, and sometimes you don't, so yeah, get ready for mess-ups aplenty. But what I'm guessing from this is that shooting from the back would mean Ryunosuke would supposedly have had to be like almost on the other table, so to speak. Like there's really very little space there. So maybe that's what they're trying to point out, or maybe that's what the game is wanting us to point out. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. Oh wait, no! Of course, I'm stupid. Wow, way easier. Of course, I'm always trying to find something super convoluted. If he was shot from the back, how would the thing be in the front, knowing that the bullet did not go through the body? Yep, so that's obviously not true. Alright, there we go. Found it. Let's go. Yeah, you're supposed to say something now. What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my mustache. Inconsistencies, sir. I mean, yes. There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defense. Oh, nice, Tsuki. Well spotted. I didn't even realize. Because it sounded so Japanese, I was like, oh, it must be the original Japanese name. But even in Japanese, there's supposed to be puns. Except I thought, yeah, it's a Japanese pun, so I'm not gonna get it. Wow. Well done. Well done. Okay. That there's a clear discrepancy here with the surgeon's statement. What? Sergeant Iesanosa. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir. But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Huh? Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? What the... What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa?
Was there a baby?
I'm sure we're gonna have an answer soon. Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious La Carnival steak, sir.
What?
The last tester has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Iesa Nosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all.
That's absurd.
I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. There has been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy.
No, chief internet.
So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there! He was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure?
Indeed, the Hoi Rakoban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop Rasute.
In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you?
On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I proffered my Hoi treasure. Believe that he would purchase such a rare find I did not, but I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. The Koban vanished?
Oh, my voice.
Hunting around under the table I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there. And then it happened.
You heard the gunshot, you mean?
Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoi treasure. Nothing could distract me.
Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end?
No.
I see.
That lamentable day, the precious Hoi Koban was lost to me. No doubt some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself.
As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Auchi?
Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make.
Explain.
Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well. The court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko Glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name Aido. It would seem those straps are a sign of the surgeon being too strapped to afford a nanny. Aido. Attention! Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Oh dear. That's very, very typical for Ace Attorney. Okay, drinking? A true culprit. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. I don't know, sir. I don't know, sir. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, Tsuki, you're officially assigned as pun detector. Or pun detective. That might be, might sound a little better. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That much I myself did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. These testimonies are certain. Wait, that's nonsense. Attorney is allergic to cat. What? Do you have a cat like eating your cables or? And of course, yes, no, sir. Yes. Oh no, yes, sir, no, sir. Right. Wow. Thank you, Tsuki. Yeah, I don't have enough brain brain processing left to actually spot those. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of this outburst already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her. If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We're not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel? Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there is only one place set. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. I can't pronounce that word. Okay, a bottle of carbonated water and steak lunch can be seen on the victim's table. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman.
waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsuchi Aochi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. Oh, that's a very, a very Phoenix Wright pose there. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Okay, I don't know who's saying that, so I'm gonna assume it's Kazuma. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick. Understood? Rules can be so unbending at times. Ugh. Okay. It's almost the same thing, not really, but okay. His pointing is kind of the fine man he was, that young legged black that much of myself I did see. Well, we're not gonna... For the more visual search of the premises at the time, confirmed that we were the only personal present. Okay, that's interesting. Let's press. You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's stable. There was a lady there. As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there'd been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know. Of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hota clinic? Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. That's Hota clinic is a thing in one of the Ace Attorney games, actually. The hid evidence. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that in that game. The concept of bringing new evidence during court proceedings is very, very much a thing here. Yeah, it doesn't follow the typical rule of evidence not being acceptable because of that. But you can do the same, so... Meh. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. Where's Batman when you need him? What? What would Batman do in this case? The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. Aha, that's your reasoning? I wonder, what do you think, Ryunosuke? Huh? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted as evidence or not? I mean, probably, but right now I have no idea what that how that will help us. But you know, let's do that. You wanna keep ouchie and ouchie? Yeah, yeah, I get that feeling. Hi. If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Extraneous. Something. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. Alright. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore scenes from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korekuta-san. Okay, so what did that give us though? Is there anything... okay, wait, what? A medical report that was found in the victim's pocket. We can't look at that? Aww. But we can look at this though. Is there anything to find here? Okay, so he had eaten a little bit of the steak. Knife is a little dirty. Not sure if there's much to get from this picture otherwise. Okay. Alright. Huh. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Okay, so they're actually preventing us from doing it because it's gonna happen now. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Examine. Yeah. Press X and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use... I'm a monster? No, use the right stick. Wow, modern technology. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using the left stick. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press X to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the right stick, left stick, and X to inspect any areas of the evidence that look suspicious. Okay, there we are. So, medical report card required for every visit. Name, Mr. John Wilson, Hota Clinic. Okay. It says Hota Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. Ugh, I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Let's have a look. There's some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he's had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yeah, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure. Until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. Well, that's what we need. How could he have eaten a steak then, huh? Was this new information? The meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listen to this testimony again, don't you? Definitely. I thought the one? I couldn't really be dining, right? Okay, hopefully it's the right statement. Seems so. Well, I think,
About what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer?
I wish I could. But first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Koreguta-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim.
I see, and I don't see. What of it, boy?
Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur?
Sorry, what?
You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel.
But...
Let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant.
But that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point.
Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else beside this spell-faced pupil.
Ooh, that was a good slam. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that?
What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant?
Perhaps because Hota Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic.
A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me?
Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted?
What's this now?
And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure, while anesthesia wears off.
What? No, that can't...
Korekuta-san.
What, boy? What?
As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all.
No.
Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner.
What? What is this nonsense? You little upstart! These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic?
How dare you?
I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who, in fact, was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person.
There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on this table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, We will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly.
Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government?
Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you.
What do you mean?
I have issue with them, those two witnesses at the stand. In the stand.
What?
What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury.
Perjury?
And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing.
Complicit in the murder? No!
Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders.
That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh.
What? What did you just say, Korekuta-san?
No,
You were just following orders?
Now hold on, lad. I was,
Say you never saw the gentlewoman? When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas?
What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? It is true, you pair?
Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth.
Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this.
Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut?
Well,
That's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as conspirator to this murder, are you?
You wouldn't...
This can't be happening! I'm mixing up my voices now. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Aochi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm we tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh, yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe.
Please, wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. I feel like singing.
And what does the defense have to say about all this, well, Your Excellency. No time to think.
I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... I mean, that guy is military. I mean, that guy is very suspicious since the beginning, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think we have any clue as to him being anything special here. But he's military. And I mean, that guy, that just would seem weird. Plus, not really an authority, so... I don't know, that's the only guy I can think of right now. There! What do you make of that? Oh, that was probably wrong, because when they use a very generic thing like this... I think, Counsel, that you may want to close your ears as well as your eyes. Otherwise, the size of disappointment in the courtroom may very well deafen you.
If you feel you must close your eyes in a crisis, might I suggest you keep your mouth shut next time, too? Otherwise, I may have to use the influence I have in this courtroom to shut it permanently.
I don't know what it is about that prosecutor exactly, but he really makes me wince in pain sometimes.
Hey, reference!
I don't have a great deal of influence myself, but believe me, I can find other ways to make you keep your mouth shut as well. Alright, don't get angry. I'll think again. There must be a clue somewhere in all that evidence in the court record. Actually, now that I think about it, there might be some pieces of evidence I haven't thoroughly examined yet. Yeah, okay. So maybe I went a little... Okay, let me check the court record right now. Okay, so what can we do with this? Ah, the symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like this spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Although it does cause problems, lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders, a sharp pin for a sharp mind or something? Okay. My personal student number is engraved on the back here. If you lose your pin, they won't accept you as a Yume student at the university. You may not come in, they say. Huh? Of course, you can get a new pin made if you can just tell them they're your number. I've actually lost mine twice already. Oh, blah. Okay. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere, but then I forget not to forget that. Alright. Whoop. So, we've seen this. We've been there, I think. That's the one I want to observe, because... Ta-da! Chief Inspector Satoru Osonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Ah, so you're not really a waiter then, huh? Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Osonaga. Well, yeah, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected, it's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Osonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? Or nurse? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here... Alright. Well, that's what I needed. I had the suspicion, I needed the proof. So, what is there here? Is there anything interesting? This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident.
But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look here in the upper left, where it says kitchen. Hmm? Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Yunosuke. Ouch. Okay, and that one we've seen. Okay. Okay, we're getting back to the... Can we even... Wow. Okay, that's very strange actually that we don't get to see the court record from this screen. I don't think the game usually... I mean, the older games usually always allowed you to access it, I think. Just so you could, you know, check things and make sure you had the right answer. Anyway. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier?
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence.
For once, I would agree with you. Yes, Sasa? Did you have a problem with Poppycock? I'll let Suki explain that one. It's not as bad as you think it is. If that is, the man truly were a waiter.
What? If it truly were?
Come on, Yunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the dealing detail is. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious. That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau.
What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before?
The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Inspector Hosonaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake.
So, you mean to say you really are a detective?
But why would a detective be working at a restaurant waiter, as a restaurant waiter? Of course! Your salary is... I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner, therefore I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you require these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once? It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interests not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean... When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The English woman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory at Fiume University's medical faculty.
What? What is happening here?
I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I raised all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise, namely that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
But Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send a telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions.
Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom.
Ah!
Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir? You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency.
But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So, it won't be a problem? Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Giselle Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. Your Excellency.
Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. I don't know. To be continued. And actually, yes, it will be continued at a later time in a later stream. Because, oh my god, my voice. Also, I need to eat. Woo! Alright. I know. Don't think I'm not enjoying myself, because I mean, this is definitely very much an Ace Attorney game in the style that I've loved so much. So I'm eager to see more of this. But I mean, there's some biological needs that need to be met, and just some physical impossibilities at some point. Wait, thank you. I try. I really try, but that's why my throat is so destroyed right now. It was getting difficult. Wow. Alright. Whoop. Back to title. Save. Well, we just did, so I think no, we don't need to. Yes. And because I guess I never actually said that out loud. Objection! There we go. Because it wouldn't be an Ace Attorney anything without an objection. Okay. Thanks for coming. Thanks for following. We'll get back to this. I hope it was enjoyable for you. It was fun for me, definitely. And I'll let you know on Twitter possibly when the next time is going to be, or you'll just see a stream pop up at some point. I might be doing that in the evenings rather than during weekends, most possibly because that will mean shorter streams and less burden on my voice. That said, given my work week as it's supposed to be like, that's probably not gonna be in the following days, so we might have to wait the next week, sadly. Yeah. But we'll see. Maybe, I don't know, it will depend on how well I feel. So, yeah. Okay. Well, here's an for you. Wow, it's hard to do when the voice is already text like this. But, yeah. So we learned a few things like poppycock and what else was there? Surreptitious as well. Yeah, those are the 2 words of the day, I think. Alright. And with this, I wish you a good rest of the day, possibly a good night, and I will see you next time.